I know what you're waiting for, and now we're going to give it to you. The latest on the IRS. I know you want this. New documents reveal that the agency did indeed put red flags on political groups based on the content of their literature. Specifically, any anti-Obama rhetoric, red flag. Inflammatory language, emotional statements, red flag. You know, it doesn't look really like the phony scandal that the president keeps talking about, does it? Let's bring in Scottie, Nell, Hughes from the Tea Party News Network. It went away. Now it's back. This seems to me to be conclusive evidence that the machinery of government was used to intimidate people like you, right?
100%, but it's the fact that it even came into the open is what surprised us. This has been going on in Tea Party groups since 2010. We all knew it was happening, but we were seen as conspiracy theorists, and we were demonized by the majority of the media, thinking that we were crazy people that just wore tinfoil on our heads and duct taped our windows.
Yeah, you can prove it now. It's not a theory. It's not some feeling out there. This is a document, a series of documents.
It's a series of documents which basically back up what we've all known. But here's the question. With this administration, do we ever see actual action or results, or do we just see words? Remember, when this first came out, all of us were surprised first that it hit the mainstream media and that we actually had the IRS talking about it. Then we were surprised the next day when the president apologized. I mean, does the president ever really apologize for anything besides America's actions?
Well, surely this would give Congress an excuse to bring back Lois Lerner and give her some sense of immunity and say, tell us what you know, wouldn't it?
Well, if she takes off her new promotion that she probably has now, because that's how it's working with this administration, you know, it would. But the problem is Congress going to actually grow a backbone in this issue? And actually, besides a select few that are great about pushing this issue, are they actually going to do something about it? Have they done anything about it, or are they just going to wait for this news cycle to cycle out?
So what's your theory on why Congress isn't doing anything about this, particularly on the right? Are there some people within the GOP who might be gloating at the Tea Party having some problems?
100%. We all know that the number one issue, really gloating?
Well, the Tea Party is not, you know, the misconception that the Tea Party is a wing of the Republicans. The Tea Party went after every big government spender out there on the left and right, and I think it really upset the power structure within the Republican Party.
Do you really think, either of, do you think that establishment Republicans really want the IRS to go after the Tea Party people?
100%.
You think so?
And that is the question, because if you look at right now who the Tea Party is saying, we're using harsh terms because we need to. This is a do or die moment in America. The line has been crossed. We're sitting here talking about transparency and sitting here having to tell CEOs what they're making. That's just the beginning.
You just declared out war on the John McCains and some of the other elder statesmen.
It was declared months ago. You've already got people saying, if you vote for Obamacare, if you sit there and do not work to actively defund it, we will primary you. And you're seeing that. You're seeing that Lindsey Graham in South Carolina. You're seeing that Lamar Alexander in Tennessee. Mitch McConnell, who is actually a pretty good conservative, he's got a supposed Tea Party candidate against him. You're seeing it.
Do you, Charles, do you approve of this aggressive action against the Tea Party people? This aggressive action by the Tea Party against establishment Republicans.
I think the Tea Party would be a disingenuous group if they did not do what they're doing.
He's completely right. And here's the deal. They always say that Republicans forget.
You're splitting the party.
No. Republicans don't forget, or they forgive. We're not splitting it. The Democrats are splitting it. They have done a fabulous job of looking at the Republicans and using single issues to split us. What we need to do, I think the majority of Republicans are actually conservatives, yet we've been dominated by this moderate few that tell us that moderates are the way to go. And we keep losing. And I think America's finally waking up, thanks to the IRS scandal, thanks to the targeting of Verizon and the turning over of leaks. Americans are waking up to it, Stuart, and we're going, you know what, we can't sleep any longer. You've got to get involved.
All right, back to this new, the new documents looking at inflammatory language and anti-Obama language. Got it. Okay, where do you think Darrell Issa takes this? Because he's not an establishment Republican.
No, he's not. Well, even though he is the most wealthy, I think, of all of Congress
that doesn't
came
make him
out. No, I don't make it established. No, he's actually one of our biggest fighters for freedom up there. So I think he's going to continue to push it. The problem is the American people. The Tea Party does a great job of demonizing and going after people like Marco Rubio on one issue like immigration when we don't agree. The American people need to start supporting people when we agree with them. We need to give them that exact same enthusiasm, that exact same passion, and say good job, so that they're not afraid with every vote they make, they're making a vote for a primary opponent possibly.
You're making a lot of waves there, young lady, but okay, stay there because I've got a couple of more issues we want to talk to you about. Nicole, Starbucks, their chief, he says customers carrying guns no longer welcome in the stores. There's no reaction for the stock price, I'm sure, but just tell me.
Listen, the stock is down 0.25%. I've been hearing the story all morning long. It wasn't until moments ago when I read through his comments why I understood what he's saying. He's saying, Mr. Schultz says, that in some cases, pro-gun activists have used they're having their guns, they're at Starbucks, and it almost makes it look like Starbucks is a supporter of open carry. Then in turn, people who are anti-guns have made it known that they don't like that. And then in turn, there was friction, there was rhetoric, there was a confrontation, customers, partners, people getting involved. And so what he's saying is, he's like, listen, hold your fight somewhere else. And that's why he's saying this. Very interesting. And I didn't realize that, because I said, why can't a law-abiding citizen do what they need to do? But now I'm starting to understand that there's actually friction occurring, and maybe he just is like, take it outside.
Okay, hold on a second, Nicole. Scottie, you're still with us. Charles, obviously, you're still here. Back up a little bit. Mr. Schultz at Starbucks is known as an anti-gun guy, doesn't like it. In response to that, in response to Howard Schultz, a lot of people start taking their guns into Starbucks, and you've got some altercations within Starbucks with people carrying guns and those people that don't like it. So along comes Mr. Schultz and says, come on, I don't want this in our stores. Please keep your guns out. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with him saying that, is there? I mean, he's trying to run an enterprise. He don't want confrontations with guns in his stores.
Here's what's wrong, and it's what we're seeing across businesses across the country. They're being easily intimidated at the threat. And here's when we came out as the pro-Second Amendment folks, when we praised Starbucks for this, it wasn't because they were saying we're opening up our doors to guns.
What did you praise Starbucks for?
They said, we are going to back up the laws of the community that the city and the state established. We're not going to say you can carry your gun or can't. We're going to go along with the local law of that community, whatever they passed.
Fine. And you backed them up with that. Okay.
We were thrilled with that.
If you've got confrontations, if you've got people, your customers, very unhappy with guys strapping on a 45 and walking through the door, surely you're entitled to say, sorry, we don't want this in our stores.
Well, I think we need to look at each of these confrontations and where they came from, because I've been watching this very, very closely. These confrontations purposely came from those that want gun control, that purposely went in and seeked those folks that just, you know, were in there getting their coffee with their gun on their head.
But you can understand
legal, law-abiding citizens.
Yes, but you can understand Schultz saying, not in my store. I'm running a capitalist enterprise. I want to make a profit.
And I agree in letting business owners have control of their own property, and that is his right.
Yes.
Now, the backlash is going to be all those folks that probably were really helping his Starbucks sales because they run it to support a business, because we are trying to learn how to be positive and support those. They're all gone. I saw it all over Facebook. I saw it over Twitter last night. They have all decided they're going to boycott. Yeah. They are done. Starbucks, that stock's going to continue to drop, I assure you.
You're making a stock market?
I am going to make I really am, because there's been such a groundswell. There was one Saturday that the pro-gun control groups promoted it and said, don't go to Starbucks, boycott Starbucks. Nobody went. The sales plummeted except for one fact. Everybody went in, they was holding their guns and said, I'm here for this reason.
Wednesday, September the 18th, 10:11 Eastern time, Starbucks is at 75, and you say it's going down.
I think it's going to continue to go down. Morale.
Well, it's an interesting program, is it not? Thank you very much. Good stuff. Thanks very much. Charles, I've got to get these in. I'm running out of time. You've got two startling numbers for us. Census Bureau reports median income 8% below where it was in 07. Right. Poverty rate at 15%, back to where it was in the 1960s. Go.
Right. When the Great Society started, Lyndon Johnson, all of these programs that were going to help poverty rate's exactly where it was back then. Moreover, it's significantly higher for people, kids 18 and under and 18 to 64, significantly higher. The only where places come down is with the elderly. You know, I got to tell you something. The fact that our real incomes are going down, we're not talking about adjusted for inflation. Real incomes have tumbled dramatically over the last several years, and poverty has exploded. We've been fighting this with trillions of dollars for several decades. What's wrong and what's happening? Well, first of all, I think the targets have been wrong. You can't beat up the so-called wealthy or successful people. Their success does not come at the expense of fellow Americans. In fact, their success typically generates opportunities for other Americans. Number two, the accountability issue, redistribution of accountability. Almost everything that we've done with poor people in this country has said, giving them excuses. You know what? Okay, you dropped out. It's not really your fault. We'll figure out a way to make it up to you. You had kids out of wedlock. It's not your fault. We'll make it up to you. Even now, you shot your neighbor. It's not your fault. It's the gun lobby's fault. We've gone too far.
You shot your neighbor, it's not your fault, is the gun.
Yeah.
But you do hear that.
You do hear
right.
that. It's not human violence, it's gun violence.
All right, Charles. Scottie, Nell, Hughes, you're still here, but...
I don't go away. The Tea Party doesn't go away.
Oh, tell me about it. We're looking at Starbucks after this, believe me.